with you on that one. Let's continue this discussion as Democrats continue to feud over President Obama's tax cut compromise. Can the markets ever move forward if our leaders do not? Joining us now to hash out the latest in this matter, Erica Payne, founder of the Agenda Project, and Wayne Copeland, president of Copeland Financial Advisors. And Wayne, I want to take this to you. It looks like we do have, we think, a deal, but is it enough for 2 years?
Well, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough because we've got a lot of other things that are going to start hitting us here in a year and a half or so. But for now, it's really good. And I'm glad that finally Washington looks like they're going to come out and do something about all the uncertainty.
You know, Erica, I mean, that is a good point that Wayne's making. At least we have something to bank on. But is it enough? And also the issue of the cap. Some are talking that it should be $1 million. It should not be extended to all. Do you agree?
I have said for months that I think that there is just absolutely no reason whatsoever that people who make over $1 million a year should get a tax cut right now. We are facing a financial problem as a country. We need to address it. The people who make more than $1 million a year are paying lower taxes than they have in most of the last 80 or 90 years. And the fact of the matter is their tax cut will cost us about $700 billion. And I think that's money that we don't have.
But isn't it true, Wayne, that wealth creates tax revenue, that the more that people earn, the more income that they have, the more that Congress and the president can rake in?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Just what was your question, Cheryl?
Wayne, that isn't it true, though, that with the creation of wealth, whether it's those that are making $1 million or making $5 billion per year, that wealth that is generated creates income for the U.S. government?
Oh, it does, absolutely. And you may be aware that Treasury did a study, an analysis several years ago when the Bush tax cuts were first coming in. They assumed that after the tax cuts, if we didn't get the tax cuts, that we would have a certain outcome. But the truth is, after the Bush tax cuts, the wealthy were actually paying more in taxes. And what we keep seeing is that Congress looking at wealthy people as a great source of income, but the problem is not a tax problem, it's a spending problem. And that's where we've got to be addressed. The Congress keeps spending money. Tell you the truth, I think most of them could have starred in Danny DeVito's 1991 movie, Other People's Money. They consistently spend about 9% a year, or commit the government to spending about 9% a year more than what the government is taking in. And that's where it's got to be stopped.
You know,
I mean,
Erica,
we could come in right now.
I mean, I hear you, Wayne. And I think, Erica, I mean, this soak the rich mentality that we've had over the last 2 years seems to be wearing a little bit thin. It seems even the president agrees that maybe this is not the best time to hike up taxes, if ever.
Okay, so let's talk about soaking the rich. About 60 years ago in 1954, the tax rate for people who made over $1 million a year was 91%. Over the last 60 years, it has gone down and down and down until it is now at 35%. So they are significantly less soaked than they used to be, number one. Number two, the only additional soaking we want to do is another 4%, which is kind of like putting a little drop of water on somebody, so that's not that big of a deal. And number two, there are only 300...
But Erica, it is a big deal. But it is
Cheryl,
a big deal.
it
that
really
is the argument
isn't.
that the Republicans made, was that it is a big deal, that you were going to be stunting growth, you were going to be slowing down an already slowed down economy. I mean,
Cheryl, the question is, though, the question is, Wayne, hold on just a second. The question is, what do the rich people do? And by the way, there are only 375,000 people in the entire country who make that much money. And I've let a group of them who've written a letter to President Obama saying they don't want their tax cut. And among them are Warren Buffett and a lot of other major business people. So 375,000 people who economists say that when you give them their money, they don't tend to spend it. Whereas if you give the money to somebody who makes 50 grand a year, which is most people in this country, they go spend it on groceries and things like that. When you give people who make over $1 million a year this money back, they don't spend it. So it's actually not stimulative.
All right, Wayne, so respond to that. So she's making that argument that, you know, they don't spend, they just save it. I mean...
That's true, and the truth of the matter is you could take the top 375 or top more than that, and most of them probably not going to mind paying a little more taxes. But let's not forget, the top 1% of American wage earners paid more tax last year than the bottom 95%. The top 5% of wage earners paid almost 60% of all the tax that was paid in. Now, it reminds me of Aesop's fable about the goose that was laying golden eggs, and the farmer decided, well, let's just get them all at one time, so they killed the goose. And that's just not a good thing to do.
Let me bring in Greg Jarrett.
The problem is spending.
Let me bring in Greg Jarrett to this. He has something he wants to add. Greg?
I mean, Erica, isn't it true that more than half of the small businesses in America would be hit hard by an increase over $250,000 because they file as individuals and not as corporations? So, I mean, you talk about
That's true.
Warren Buffett not wanting to, take his tax cut. That's one person, and maybe there are 10 or 20 or 50 of them. But what about all of the small businesses in America who would be devastated by an increase?
So I'm really glad you asked this question.
And
just to be exact about how many of the people who have signed the letter in 2 weeks to President Obama, we're at 150. So I think that's pretty good for
drop in the bucket compared to small businesses in America who would be affected.
So out of 375,000 people who make over $1 million a year, 150 of them have signed a letter saying that they would like their taxes to go up. But let's address the small business issue. This is one of these things that you guys like to pull out and talk about. We just need to go back to some very basic accounting here. If you are a small business, and I ran a small business for 8 years, and I filed as a sole proprietor, and so all of the money that went through my business ultimately flowed down onto my personal income tax. That personal income tax is at the end of all of the expenses I have, wages, health care, rent, etc. If I am putting into my personal bank account at the end of the year $1 million, I think it is perfectly appropriate to ask me to pay some additional money in taxes.
But you couldn't. But Wayne,
that's
she can't.
An example that
She can't hire. She also can't hire if that's the case.
I actually can hire, because if I say that I have $2 million in revenue, and I want to hire, hold on a second, Wayne, and I want to hire a $100,000 worker, that money goes off the top. So I'm not paying taxes on that. I'm paying taxes on the profit. And when you're a small business owner and you file as an individual, your profits are your income.
Okay.
And so all those expenses are taken off the top.
Your point taken. Let me get Wayne into this. Wayne?
Well, I go back to what I said earlier. The problem is not we need to tax the rich people more. The problem is that somebody in Washington needs to learn how to spend less. And what they haven't figured out is what American families have figured out. If your outgo exceeds your income, your upkeep becomes your downfall. Now, that's what needs to be learned. We could have someone come right now and write a check for $14 trillion and take out all of the debt, and everybody would be so happy, but that would not fix the problem, because Congress consistently spends more than they take in, and then the liberals come and say, well, let's go tax the rich. Why? Because Congress don't know how to say no. That's where the problem is.
So, Wayne,
you gotta
listen.
love Congress. All right,
Wayne,
you gotta love Congress.
But
I love
I'm smiling.
both of you, and I love talking to both of you on these exact issues. Great to have you both. Erica Payne, founder of the Agenda Project. Wayne Copeland, president of Copeland Financial Advisors. Thanks to both of you. All right.
Thank you.